No! Drink the bleach!
Hey everyone, welcome to Reading Backwards, the manga reading vlog, permanently stuck in the past. My name's Tim, and it's time to talk about Bleach Chapter 5, Binda, Blinda. I don't know why the chapter is called that, but in any case, we pick up exactly where we left off from Chapter 4. Ichigo is fighting the Hollow in Orihime's apartment, and he's a bit caught off guard by the fact that there appear to be two Orihimes. There's her body, which is lying unconscious on the floor right next to Tatsuki, who is also unconscious, and connected to her body by this long chain is her soul, which is currently cowering in the corner behind him. And he kind of voices this confusion, to which the Hollow actually chimes in and tells him, "Isn't it obvious, Ichigo? Orihime's already dead." And this causes Ichigo to hesitate just long enough for the Hollow to turn around and whip him with its tail. It sends him slamming through the wall. The wall actually explodes outward, and Ichigo goes flying out into the night. At which point we get this one panel that I remember staring at for the longest time as a kid when I first saw it, trying to figure out what was going on and why it looked like Ichigo was skidding across the floor, even though he's clearly in midair. And eventually I figured it out. He's supposed to be flying. Now, this confused me at first because Tite Kubo never really explains that Soul Reapers can fly. I'm sure I will bring this up at some point in the future, but Tite Kubo, while he was creating Bleach, was very inspired by Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball. A lot of manga authors at the time were inspired by Dragon Ball, but Bleach in particular takes quite a few very obvious cues from that series. And one of them is its aerial combat. Characters actually flying around and fighting each other in midair. This is something that Kubo clearly wanted to do with his characters from the very beginning. But unlike in Dragon Ball, where it's explained as being this kind of advanced martial arts technique where the fighters, project their ki into the air around them and push themselves off the ground and propel themselves through the air. Soul Reaper flying really isn't explained. It just kind of happens for the first time in this panel, in this chapter, and you just kind of have to accept it. And it's not till a few chapters later where Rukia actually states for a fact that Soul Reapers can fly. It's just a thing they can do, and it's just kind of hand-waved away. But yeah, it took me a while as a kid to figure out what was going on, and reading this chapter over again, I was like, oh yeah, there's that chapter where I had no idea what Ichigo is doing. The Hollow then opens its mouth and spits out this stream of acid that burns Ichigo's hand, and he drops his sword. So now not only is he bleeding from the head after being smashed through this wall, but also now he's missing his sword. And so the Hollow once again takes advantage of this break in his defense to slap him again with its tail, and this time he goes plummeting into the ground like a sack of bricks. And Rukia, who's been sitting outside this whole time because, let's face it, at this point she's almost useless, she walks over to Ichigo and starts shaking him and saying, "Ichigo, get up, get back in there. You're a disgrace to Soul Reapers everywhere." And he tells her, "No, it's not my fault. This guy he's stronger. He's different from the other Hollows." And she can tell that he is clearly trying to cope. He failed to kill the Hollow with one swift blow earlier that day. He found out who this Hollow was in life, found out that it's Orihime's brother, Sora. And so now he knows that Sora and Orihime are involved in this fight. And it's distracting him. It's distracting him from getting this fight over with. And so she tells him straight up, "Look, if you don't win this battle, your friend's soul is lost. That thing is going to eat her soul." And this kind of galvanizes Ichigo back into action. But meanwhile, back in the apartment, Orihime confronts her brother's Hollow and says, "Who are you? What are you? How do you know me?" And the Hollow brushes aside its hair and shows the portion of the mask that Ichigo slashed away so that she can see part of her brother's face underneath. And he explains to her that after he died that fateful day, his soul was trapped in limbo. He couldn't find his way to the afterlife, and he was tormented day and night. And the only thing that eased his suffering was the fact that every day Orihime would pray at the little shrine that was set up in their apartment. She would pray to this shrine every day, pray for her brother's soul, and that would ease his suffering. But as the years went on and Orihime grew older, She started going to high school and making friends and finding hobbies. She prayed at her brother's shrine less and less. And whenever she did, she would always talk about the new things that she would do at school, the new friends she would make. And especially, she would talk about her new friends, Tatsuki and Ichigo. And so that's why Sora attacked them as a hollow, because he resents them for basically stealing away Orihime's attention. And he resents her because this suffering he's had to endure has transformed him into this hollow. He blames her for what's happened to his soul. And he tells her, I will not forgive you. You're mine, and I will kill you because you're mine. And I can do with your soul what I will. And Ichigo appears back in the apartment. He's flown back through the hole in the wall at this point. He hears what the hollow says, and this throws him over the edge. He's in a rage now. And we get this really cool character moment from Ichigo, where he tells Sora, he tells him, big brothers, you know why they were born first? To protect the little ones who came after them. What kind of brother says he'll kill his own sister? Even a monster shouldn't say that. And so now Ichigo has got his fighting spirit back. He's ready to take this seriously. He slashes apart Sora's hands so that he drops Orihime to the floor. And Ichigo is ready to continue the fight. And that's where this chapter ends. Now, the ending in particular for this chapter always got to me. Reading this as a kid, it affected me in a way that I'm sure it didn't affect other people. It kind of hits home. I myself am the oldest kid in my family, and I have 2 younger sisters. So reading this storyline was a little uncomfortable, I'm going to be honest, to read about this character who resents his sister so much for what has happened to him in the afterlife that he'll go to the extent of killing her and stealing her soul was really messed up. And so when Ichigo comes back with his second wind and tells Sora, big brothers are there to protect their little siblings. You shouldn't say you're going to kill your sister. That's abominable. I'm going to finish you off once and for all to prove that I'm better than you and my outlook on life is better than yours.
I reject your reality and I substitute my own.
That really got to me. It made me, I don't know. I remember as a kid thinking, man, I gotta step it up. I gotta be a good older brother. I gotta be like Ichigo, But more than all of that, I think this is a really good bit of character writing for Ichigo. I've mentioned in a previous video that eventually we get to see this character's tough guy, street punk facade crumble away, and we get to see a very noble kind of character archetype emerge. And I won't give away what that character archetype is quite yet, because despite the good look at it that we get at the end of this chapter, it hasn't been fully revealed yet. The chapter that I'm thinking of in particular takes place at the end of volume 3, I think. So it's like a dozen or 2 dozen chapters away, but we will get there. For now, I really do appreciate the contrast between Ichigo and between Sora. We have, Ichigo who proudly declares that he believes that the strong should defend the weak. Big brothers protect the little ones. Whereas Sora believes that, because he raised Orihime, because she was such a big part of his life, that he has a right to her soul. He has a right to take her life if he so desires. I love that confliction between character ideals. And as we'll see in the next chapter, it does get turned on its head a bit, but I really do love that contrast. Tite Kubo is trying to impart some really mature ideas and themes in a series that, for all intents and purposes, was aimed at teenage boys, but I really appreciate his little subtle writing flourishes, shall we say. But that's really all I've got to say about this chapter. I hope you'll join me in the next review when we talk about Chapter 6. Until then, remember, before you open up your manga, flip it around and read it backwards. Take care, everyone.
I reject your reality and I substitute my own.